Viewers, welcome back to Daily Retro. Today we've got episode 3 of Guide to Games Rooms with Paul from SuperRetroGamingWorld. Say hello, Paul.
Hi guys.
How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good. So Paul is an Instagrammer that I've been in contact for quite a while. He's got a really cool space. It's very much a small but very cool looking space in my opinion. Which is always nice to see people making good use of smaller spaces. So we'll dive straight into it and get Paul and me flowing with answers and questions. So question number 1 for you, Paul. When did your games room first appear?
It was March last year when I first started using it as a games room. Really, that wasn't the original plan to have this as the games room. My original plan was I moved house around about mid 2019, and the plan was to have the loft as the games room, bigger space, nice features, exposed brick, that kind of thing. But obviously, as we all know, the pandemic hit, so everyone then all of a sudden, work from home. So I was permanently working from home. So really, I needed to kind of accelerate that and combine it with a bit of a workspace as well. So I just had to really kind of bring it forward and just try to have somewhere where I could, try and combine the things that I always wanted with, having that kind of workspace as well. So yeah, it was. I can't believe it's been almost a year already since I kind of, started this off. It was funny. I was looking on Instagram and it's on one of my saved stories, and it's like I looked the other day when I first started. It was like 53 weeks ago, kind of when I first, started doing the decorating and getting it up to scratch. So yeah, it was. It's been a quick period of how it's kind of gone ahead.
Yeah. So that definitely leads us on to our second question is, how long did the room take to build? Was it a slow evolution or was it quick? By the sounds of things, it was a fairly quick process, but I presume it needed some planning.
Yeah, I say it was quick. It was quick in almost like the turnarounds and actually getting it functioning as a room. But I think overall, it took me around about 5 months, and that was more due to the fact that you couldn't buy furniture. So you couldn't get a desk that I wanted, couldn't get the shelves that I wanted. You couldn't get anything. We all generally go to IKEA and get the shelves and things like that. I think we all know what model they are and so on. But yeah, you couldn't buy anything. So I think really, I'd started off just making sure that the room was almost like a blank canvas. That was the main thing I wanted to kind of get started. Managed to get the shelves so I could get some of the consoles and that in. And it was funny. It was when I kind of moved into this house, I found like an old desk, which you basically attach to a wall. And if you go on my Instagram, you can see there's a photo on there where I put in a picture, and you can see this desk, and it's basically just on 2 wooden legs that are just 2 pieces of wood that I just found. So it was a case of needs must of trying to have somewhere where I can have a monitor, have the laptop and so on, whilst just still trying to have a space to game and things like that. So yeah, it was as much as I was able to turn around a lot of the early work, it took a while to get the finished product.
Yeah, it seems to be a common feature of a lot of people's rooms as they sort of combine it with an office space.
Yeah, I think everyone's having to do that these days, and obviously they're always, the rooms are always evolving as well. We're always changing things and swapping things around. So
yeah, I mean that's where I'm sitting now to do this, and yeah. So question number 3: where did the inspiration for your room come from? Have you got other friends in real life who have got games room that you've wanted to sort of emulate, or have you looked at other YouTube channels or Instagram?
No friends that I've got a games room as yet. They're all pretty jealous of this one, which is good. But I think really this is something that I've been planning for quite a long time. So I'll probably say around about 3-4 years I've been thinking about this, and I'd started like picking up things. So things like the Zelda map pictures, some of the things in the cabinet that I've got. So things like Boba Fett and R2-D2, those kind of things. I got them for quite a while, and they've just been sat in boxes for years in some cases. and I really wanted to, make sure I had somewhere to kind of display that. It was like, I rebought the SNES back in September 2019, I think it was. So it was all quite a long lead up time, going up to it. At the start, because I was still new to almost like Instagram and so on, I was using Pinterest a lot and things like that, just putting in, video games rooms, getting ideas and things like that. But really trying to focus on, it was a bigger space because I had plans to do it in a loft, but then I had to kind of downsize it because obviously got a much smaller room and a much smaller space. So it was just kind of swapping that round. And from there, once I kind of thought, right, okay, I know the space I've got, I started having a look on Instagram and seeing things. So I remember getting in touch with you about whether the Mega Drive cartridges, you could get a Mega Drive cartridge in on one of the spaces. Yeah. And we had a chat about that, and I was like, oh, will that fit? How does it go, kind of thing. And just having those kind of conversations. So I know I had a conversation with you. There's a few other people that it's definitely worth having a look at. So you've got like Retro Dad's Den. You look at his space and it's he's got a massive outbuilding. It's brilliant. It looks really awesome. There's Super Nerds UK Gaming. Simon, he's really good. He's got a converted loft and it looks really smart, and like it's just wall to wall games. It's excellent. People like Liverpool Retro Gamer. Did somebody say retro? And I think we've all kind of, yourself. We've all kind of got the same theme, like the cubes and things like that. It's all kind of a version of that kind of theme. But it's good to see some of the other ideas, and I think for you and I, it's probably how we're hooking things up. What kind of HDMIs are you using? Are you using retro tink? Are you using other bits and bobs? What we're all kind of using to try and get these these consoles hooked up to HDMI and the newer type of connections.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn when you really dive into it.
Yes, and there's a lot of dead ends as well, like that you can find, and where things don't work. So yeah, it's a steep learning curve.
Yeah, one thing I've never this is not an official question, but one thing I've never asked you is have you got like a lot of your consoles like plumbed in so that you don't have to unplug and replug cables, or?
Pretty much everything, yeah. So it's all on HDMI splitter. So everything comes from the main tower, works all through into the monitors, and then it's just a remote control. So yeah, just I've got at the moment 5-switch HDMI splitter, and I can just select between each one as I kind of go. And all the consoles, again, if you look on my Instagram page and if you go onto the kind of the man cave feature, you'll be able to see I've put all the build in there. So when I was doing the wiring, so I've kind of got my 2 power units under the desk, kind of screwed into the desk, and everything's just all kind of wired through, just using rail cabling and working that through. So yeah, so that's one of the main things I wanted out of this. I wanted to just go, right, if I want to play something, it's within 1 or 2 clicks. Yeah. I don't want to have to, get something out, unplug something. It's kind of a bit of a challenge I've got now with the N64. And again, it's something we were talking about, some of the cables that I've got already. And, just thinking about maybe trying something different and seeing how that works. And then I can compare and see what it's like to the other things.
Yeah, that's cool. It's nice to have a seamless room, and yeah, I'm the same. I really want to be able to play something quickly. I don't want to be unplugging, replugging things for 10 minutes or so before I can actually get stuck in.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got the space to be able to be pulling this out and getting around the back and things like that. So that I always try to make sure the easier the better.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. So we'll move on to question number 4, which is, what it may well lead on from that, is favorite item or feature of your games room.
You can probably see it behind me. This thing.
Oh yeah.
It's not a console in it. That's my favorite thing. So this thing was a present from a friend of mine, Matt Costello, and my partner stepsister Steph. This is from the 40th, just giving an indication of how old I actually am, unfortunately. And basically what they done was they give me this, and for each decade, going back to when I was born, they figured out what the #1 game was in the UK at the time. So they kind of just on my birthday. So they basically just put, five games in, said, right, from when you were born, 10, 20, 30, 40, they were the number one game at that time. And it was funny when I first got it, because looking back, I was going, I had Mario Land, I had, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, that kind of thing, definitely had Tekken. So it was a really nice present to receive. And yeah, so I've got that on kind of like the video game side of the room. And I know it's a bit it's a bit sentimental, but that it was just a really nice present to get, and real surprise.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was wondering what that was when I was looking through the images of the game stream. I was like, I can't really figure out the pattern of.
Yeah. It's just for that one for every decade kind of thing. But yeah, it was just one of those things that again you're just like, wow, that and we've all got loads of cool stuff that we've got, and some really cool games. But yeah, I think that's just one of my favorites in here. So
yeah, that's really cool. All right, so what's the most expensive item in your game room?
Technically, it's my PS1, because it's my original PS1 from 1995,
right?
Which, if you may remember, was about 300 quid when it first got released. So technically, that's what it is. I've never sold it because I got it chipped to play imports. So it was just something that I always kind of held on to. I was sad enough to play Metal Gear Solid in Japanese, which was quite a challenge, trying to figure out the code, if you remember that, on the back of the game box. So that was a real challenge. But yeah, it's just something that's always kind of stayed with me. But no, I think more realistically, it's probably things like, at the moment, my complete in box Zelda Link to the Past, Shadowrun, both for the SNES. I seen the other day one of the retailers selling Zelda Link to the Past complete in box, 170 quid, which it's bonkers, absolutely bonkers, some of the prices. And if you go on eBay or things like that, Shadowrun's going for a similar price. I'm just grateful I didn't pay anywhere near that when I picked them up again. So yeah, I think they're probably the most expensive at the moment, but I think the way the games market's going at the minute, it's just going to go up and up and up. So
yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, COVID put a lot of the prices up, so if you were lucky enough to get stuff before that, yeah, you were better off.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
So what do you play most in the games room? This is question number 6.
I'll run through kind of each console, what I've got in here, I guess, and what I kind of play on the most. So for the SNES, it's A Link to the Past. That's always in. That Zelda to me is the GOAT. That is the only. It's never going to be bettered in my eyes. It just takes me back to 92, 93, whatever year it was, kind of thing. Having that at Christmas, and it's always in. And, we'll always just like spare 10 minutes, spare 15 minutes. I'll just do a dungeon and then just get further on and so on. So I was playing it on Sunday because it was just rainy day, and it was like, this is just perfect for it. So yeah, definitely A Link to the Past. I'll always have that kind of ready to go. On the Mega Drive, it's Return of Shinobi. That's one that just always keep going back to. It's just sometimes I'll cheat and use the shuriken cheat, but that's just a kind of depends what mood I'm in. But I think we all remember the dodgy superhero enemies, the final bosses and things like that. It just makes me smile. The fake Batman and fake Spider-Man and things like that. So yeah, that's always a good one. Awesome. On the PS1, only because we've never finished it, and I need to finish it. It's on my list as Final Fantasy IX. So that to me is a close second behind Final Fantasy VII. And yeah, I really need to finish it because I just think it's a fantastic game. PS2, it's Burnout 3 Takedown. That is, you want a quick blast, just that's really good fun to do. Currently playing through the Halo series on the Xbox. Got the Xbox 360. So I had never owned an Xbox prior to this. I was always a PlayStation man. So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to get these Halo games because I love playing Destiny 2. So, it's Bungie. So I thought, I'll give this a go. So I'm just on Halo 2 at the moment on that one. N64, it's like it was. Again, just it's really good game. You can have a quick blast. You can get through the levels quite quickly as well, and you kind of know what to expect. And on the PS3 that I've got in here, it's generally GT5. Always been a big lover of Gran Turismo, and Gran Turismo 5. I remember when the prologue came out, and it was just like blown away by some of the tracks. So yeah, that's probably a permanent fixture in the PS3 at the moment. So.
Oh, cool. So, quick question: do you always play the older consoles like originally on the original hardware? So you're still using the save in the original cart of Link to the Past, or?
Yeah, so bizarrely, that's still fine. The battery backup on that one, not so much in my copy of SimCity. So right. Yeah, I've got to get that sorted out. I've seen a couple of guys on Instagram that do the battery updates. So stuff like that. I think if I try and attempt it myself, I'll probably break it. So I'll rather just send it off for the sake of like £5 or something. But yeah, the battery backup's still working. So yeah, I play it through the original console rather than the Mini. I just prefer it. You know what I mean? I know the image is probably not as crisp as on the Mini, but it's the nostalgia, isn't it? You're playing it on the original hardware, and that's how it's intended to be. So yeah, definitely always try and play on the original ones if I can.
That's really cool. It's refreshing to play on the old hardware sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So question number 7. Have you had any challenges or problems when you originally built the room, or is there still any unsolved problems?
Well, we touched upon it before, really. The main problem I had was space. That was my main challenge with this. So, you've probably seen some of the photos, the desk is quite close to, the gaming unit. There's not a lot to kind of work around. So that comes with its own challenges. And, you do have to think about where to place things. And, you've got to, in my case, if I get something new, I might need to then, trade it in for something else. So, I've got, let's say, things like R2-D2, Boba Fett, Cade sat there, but if I get something, then one of them might need to come out. But I'll just then swap them round, and you know what it's like. When you go up into the loft and you're looking around, and you kind of go, the nostalgia hits, and you go, oh, I remember I had this, and then you bring it back down, and things like that. So space is definitely it was a challenge for me, but you work with what you've got, and that's the that's I think what you can kind of see in the space here. I think for problems when I built it, I've only just fixed one of those, bizarrely. So one of the problems I had with the N64, I originally placed it on one side of the unit, and by the time I wired it all in, the power cable was too short. So I had to then pull everything out, swap that round with the Xbox 360, carefully place the Xbox 360 brick so it was still, still okay, that kind of thing. Run some wiring through and kind of get that to work. So I've managed to get that all sorted now, but for a while I didn't have that connected. It was always one of those things where a bit of poor planning kind of kicks you to the dirt. But as for things that are still unsold, I haven't got any of the minis connected. So I think with them, you can just take them out and you can hook it up on USB and HDMI, really easily. But I think that obviously the catch with those is because I've got the SNES, the Mega Drive, the PS1, and the Commodore 64. It's 4 lots of everything. So you got your 4 HDMIs, you got your 4 USBs to power everything up. It takes a lot of thought. So do I go with a 4-into-1, that kind of thing? Do it set up another HDMI? There's all these kind of things that you need to think about and kind of try and plot and plan. Then I go, well, okay, do I then need another cable raceway? So I'm going to have X number of extra cables. So that's still unsolved at the moment, and still something that I really want to try and sort out. And I've recently bought the Stormtrooper Black Series helmet. I need to find a space for that. So that's kind of giving me a bit of a headache. I've got possibly a bit of a space down here behind my Mario cushion, which I kind of house some games and some gaming books and so on. So, but I need to find somewhere for them before I can use that space. So yeah, it's always a bit of a challenge doing a bit of juggling rounds and working things out.
Yeah, it's difficult because obviously as a gamer you want to have more and more consoles sometimes, and then you realise, oh shit, I can't put those anywhere.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm lucky. I've still got some more space for more consoles. You know, I can definitely juggle things around, but as I say, it just takes a bit more thought and a bit more kind of planning. And you know, as we said, then do a go with a Hyperkin cable, do a go with a retro tint, that kind of thing. You know, there's all the research that goes with it as well. So it's not just as easy as going, oh yeah, I'll get that, bang, away you go, kind of thing. So
yeah. Okay, so question number 8, our penultimate question. Are there any upcoming changes to the room? So you mentioned the attic. Is there plans to move in there eventually or expand?
Yeah, there will be. I just need to. I just need to get it fit for purpose, basically. So it's good for storage, but not necessarily for running around. And if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's definitely the plan. Purely because I can kind of, as you know, when you go and you step into like a room, you can kind of visualize how it's going to be. And with this, I can already visualize it. It's got like exposed brick, it's got like a triangular beam. I think, there's just so much you can do with it. But yeah, absolutely. That's something I kind of had in mind. And I kind of think back to, you probably remember the film Gremlins, and the kid's bedroom was, it just had like the old TV kind of hung up and had the posters on the walls and things like that. And it was like, I want something like that. I want something like, that kind of room, something like the Goonies, something like that to kind of bring that nostalgia feel. And, bean bags, kind of rumpus room, that kind of stuff. So, trying to visualize that, but that's going to take a fair bit of planning. As for in here, I'm actually thinking of replacing the PS1 in the unit, purely because it's so old. I can only play the PS1 if it's stood on its edge, which is very, very random. Obviously, in this cabinet, it's not stood on its edge. The PS3 takes up that space. So, and to be honest, I don't really have any of my Japanese games anymore to kind of play on. So, and I've got the PS2, I've got the PS3, so I can play majority of my PS1 games. So, I'm on the lookout for the Dreamcast, which is a console I've never had. I've played on one probably 2 or 3 times, but whenever I see one, I'm like, I really want one. It's one of those consoles, I think, because it has all the arcade games and things like that. It has had your Daytonas, had your Virtua Fighter, that kind of thing. That Sonic Adventure, all those type of games. It just seemed like a really excellent. Crazy Taxi. They're just real classic games, and it just seems like one of those consoles that you just couldn't fail to have a good time on. So it's something that I'm on the lookout for. But like everything, it's trying to weigh up what you want to spend to what you want to try and get, kind of thing. And I think what I always try and do, kind of, I get given a console, which is great. It's always fantastic. But if I'm going out and buying one, I'll always try and get a complete in box version, which obviously inflates the price, limits your choice somewhat. But that's just the way I collect. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm on the lookout to try and bring in, and yeah, just give the tower a bit of a refresh.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. Got some changes coming up for sure then. I'll definitely have to send you a link afterwards, because there's a guy I use called Will's Console Modifications, and he does repairs on consoles, and he's actually like really cheap generally. I recently sent him my Mega Drive, my childhood Mega Drive, and I basically said, the sound is a bit weird, can you have a look? And that's usually an indication that their capacitors started to go.
Yeah.
So I sent it him. He replaced the power regulators and all the capacitors, and he only charged me 35 quid, including postage.
Wow, yeah, definitely. Because I've got a poorly PS3, which is my original PS3, and it's the one that's backwards compatible. So I really want to try and get that sorted out. And all the game saves are on it, so I'm like, I really need to get this back. But I got gifted a Commodore 64, and it kind of plays games, kind of doesn't. It just has a bit of a meltdown kind of halfway through. So I really want to kind of get that sorted out, more for the fact that I want to do it justice and say to the guy who gave it to me, you can come round, come and have a look at this is what you're giving me, kind of thing. And I think because he didn't really understand anything about the Commodore 64. That was kind of my first computer, you know what I mean? It was first gaming machine. And it, he's looking at some of the games and going, I just don't get these. These just look really basic. And I'm like, no, but you got games like Terminator 2 and The Last Ninja and things like that. Shadow of the Beast. There's some really good graphical games, and I just want to really like get that fixed so I can just have them around and say, look, this is what you give me as part of the gift. Yeah.
Yeah. Tape-based systems, especially, can be a bit temperamental to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got a few cartridge games for it, but even then, it's something to do with the computer itself. So yeah, I just really want to kind of restore it back to its former glory, so to speak.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm sure it'll look good eventually. Right, so that leads us on to our final question for yourself before my favourite bit of your room, and that is, are there any tips you would give someone on building out their games room?
First and foremost, always go longer on cables. If you think you need 2 meters, go 3, go 5 even if you need to. I think purely that's more just to future-proof yourself. So, as you know, sometimes we might walk in our games room and go, really want, that thing over there and so on and so forth, and you can leave yourself short. And I almost did, I mentioned about the N64 before, but even on some of the Hyperkins that I got, it was a real like touch and go whether I was gonna get there on the distance to where I need things to be. So always go long on your cables, get extra cable, and you can always hide it around the back. That's fine. I think when it comes to the games room itself, and I think one of your last guests has kind of touched upon this. You do need to plan it out. And do some sketches, things like that. Have a real think about it. But what I'd say is, even if you're not planning out, don't wait. As I found, I could have waited until I had absolutely everything, perfect kind of desk, this, that, the other. I didn't. And a half-finished games room, it's still half a games room. You can still start your tinkering. You can still start to play games. You can still envisage, how you want it to get to the final article. So even if you haven't quite got everything where it needs to be, I'd still start it, because you can still start your journey in that sense, and try and have everything the way you want it. I think as well, like what you do, like what I do, if you're on a journey of a games room and things like that, share it, and speak to people. Everyone's really good in the community. I say, you and I have had chats before, even just, I say, you sent me a video just to say, well, look, my hand can go in there and put the thing, it was as simple as that, but it answered the question. So, if you're sharing it, people will pick it up and people will help you. That's one of the things I've definitely found, especially on Instagram, you know what I mean? People are really nice, and, people will go, have you tried this? Or, have you spoken about this? Or, have a look at this kind of thing. So, it's always a good community in that sense. And I guess,
definitely.
And I guess my last tip is, it's probably more on collecting, really. We touched upon it a bit before, but, as you know, we've all got probably multiple consoles, but have a few options. If you are starting to collect for the SNES and the Mega Drive, I think at the moment the SNES prices are, pretty expensive, but PS1, PS2 are pretty, about the right price. So, you just because one thing's expensive doesn't mean you can stop collecting. So just try and tailor, have a look around and just maybe have 2 or 3 things on the go, and just means you can keep collecting and keep building.
Yeah, definitely. Things like the PS3 in that generation at the moment are just so cheap to collect for. So you just got to go against the curve, as you say.
Yeah, and I found, PS4 you can pick things up really cheaply, but I'm starting to find like 3DS games, even the more expensive ones, your Marios, your Donkey Kongs, things like that, they're going for really cheap now, and it's still a really good machine to have. I'm lucky enough, I've got the 3DS, I've got the DS, the Vitas, the PSPs and stuff. So you just pick what you can, pick and choose what you get. So
yeah, that's good advice. Cheers for that. So that's the end of the questions, guys, but I'm just going to quickly dive into what is my favourite bit of Paul's room, or Super Retro Gaming World's room. So I noticed in the pictures you sent me, and I've seen it before on your Instagram, you've got these really cool 3D printed logos in front of your Mega Drive and SNES.
Yeah.
Did you get those from a specific place?
I did. Let me just, while we're on, I can hopefully just very quickly go into the phone and find out. Yeah, it was a guy. It's a guy on Instagram who I got them from. Let's have a look. Goodness me, it was a while ago I picked them up. Yeah, I think I've got one here actually. Yeah, those things. Yeah, they are. They're really cool. Here we go. Yeah, it's Ready Player 2 on Instagram, and yeah, he does really. Chap called Dave. So, he does Street Fighter, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil. You can even get like Ghostbusters and things like that. They're really cool, really, really, inexpensive as well. But they were just something I wanted to add to kind of the top shelves, because I was just conscious it just looks like a bear box. But me being me, I didn't really want these out in the sunlight, if you know what I mean. So I'm, and the SNES is looking really good. So, it's really grey still. It's really nice looking. So I kind of wanted to make sure that, that stayed, in a good colour. So yeah, I just wanted something to kind of really, just make them pop a bit more really. And, it's probably something I might add more to, because you can get like PlayStation, Xbox Ones and things like that. Yeah. So definitely worth getting. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely brings a unique style to that Kallax unit.
Yeah, yes, yeah. And I say everyone knows the Kallax units and things like that. So yeah, it just gives a bit of colour to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Cool. So that's the end of the episode, guys. I'm just going to stop recording now and have a quick chat to Paul. If you've enjoyed this episode, just give us a comment and a like down below, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.